Welcome, my 328 subscribers, everyone who's not scummy enough to pull what MJF did to that poor girl after getting into an accident. Everyone who still believes that this might be the best run that AEW has had, and everyone who likes my shorts, they're gonna keep coming. Don't you worry. Welcome to my review of AEW Dynamite for the February 8th show. Let's begin. So I'm playing Victoria 3 while recording this review. Since it's a more passive game compared to other Paradox games, you're basically managing a country, so everything takes so long to complete. So there's a lot of downtime, so why not record my review? And I'm also telling you to check it out. Victoria 3. So for the first match, we have MJF versus Konosuke Takeshita in an AEW Championship Eliminator match. So this is exactly the type of match that MJF needs against someone who can basically wrestle a broom and then have a good match. Like, Takeshita is so good that he can carry anyone in that roster to a banger. Other people in that locker room include, Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, FTR, and the Bucks in tag matches. Hangman Page, Samoa Joe. We have Bandito, Brian Cage, MJF after this match, Chris Jericho if motivated, and the whole House of Black, as well as Darby Allin. And add in Claudio Castagnoli there as well. Damn, there are a lot of these guys. And a lot of them are very push viable. Like, they're pretty believable as world champions or tag champs when it comes to FTR, as well as the Bucks. But yeah, this was a chance, like his match against Wheeler, to show that he can do more than just cheat, hit someone with the diamond ring, or get thwarted, rinse and repeat. Like, his pay-per-view matches are like that all the time, even the most critically acclaimed ones. Like, as champion, he should be able to win against, I think, most people. Like, you're the AEW champion. Like, don't cheat against lower card guys like Takeshita. Get clean wins. And he does in this match. Story of the match is Konosuke's left arm, just like Danielson. It's pretty much giving him a taste of what's gonna happen at the pay-per-view. Like, he zeroes in on Konosuke's arm like that's all he did. And Konosuke goes for his glorious arsenal. This dude is a next level performer. He might be currently the best big man that AEW has. And yes, he's a big man. Everything he does is very weighty. Especially how he moves, how he hits. And I like that he doesn't do the cruiserweight junior spots like what Brian Cage and Willie Mack do, since, yes, they can do it, but can they do it well? They slow down after an extended bout. They're not Claudio who can do everything. Konosuke is super babyface in this crowd. San Antonio crowd, so they have Spanish chants. We get a frog splash, of course, Eddie Guerrero tribute. And this time it's a lot more suited for the situation since it's in his hometown. Match is a gradual escalation that for me officially picks up when Konosuke does his outside dive where he jumps over the ropes. And he usually does this at the turnbuckle side, and for me it's pretty dangerous. You could hit the post. Kaito Kiyomiya does it too, but I think Konosuke is more at risk since he's heavier. But here he does it over ropes, which makes more sense. Easier to jump over. And if you land on them, you're not going to concuss yourself, you're not going to break anything. With the same effect. There's an additional, in-match story injury that opens up. And it's when MJF does his lung blower. He hurts his leg even more after he, lands on it, he sells it. It's consistent, but they don't take advantage of this. Konosuke doesn't. It doesn't play into the ending. Or it could in the future match against Danielson. It could be MJF's leg and Danielson's arm. Finish is Takeshita misses a springboard swanton bomb, which allows MJF to put on the Salt of the Earth, and then transitions it to a Fujiwara armbar for the win. I love this maneuver. Like, the Salt of the Earth move, it looks like a signature, or it looks less than what the Fujiwara armbar is. There is literally nothing wrong with this match, but I don't think they did enough. It wasn't epic enough to be rated higher than this, but it's a pay-per-view undercard match. Post-match is MJF takes his diamond ring and makes Takeshita bleed. Danielson goes for the save to return the favor, and that's it. So yeah, I want to talk about the promo next since it's connected to this storyline. And I might sleep shortly, so I'm just gonna make the short right away. Okay, so this is the most controversial part of the show, and it's Lexi Nair's interview with MJF. He starts it off by trashing on Takeshita after he beat him, but then he tells us a story. And not the wrestling kind, the campfire kind. This dude can narrate an audiobook. It was that good. So it's a story about him in high school with his crush named Liv. And no, it's not Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan does not have brown skin, light brown eyes, or short curly brown hair. Like the people who tweeted at Liv aren't very bright. They don't listen good. But yeah, MJF finally gets Liv out on a date. He gets some distraction in the car, if you know what I mean. Overspeeds and then crashes the car. That's a red flag. We just had Jay Briscoe die a couple of weeks ago. It's still very fresh from our minds. Kind of insensitive here. So yeah, MJF wakes up. He finds Liv has been driven straight to the windshield. And one would assume that she's on the passenger seat. Yeah, and this is where the plot holes come in. If Liv is seated on the passenger seat, she would go straight to that side of the windshield and that would leave a mark. Unless she hits center. And plus you could see the injury on her head, that it's worse than MJF's. So how the hell would forensics believe MJF? Like, he might have taken a hit too, but that's on the wheel. That's probably airbagged or MJF would be dead. And other plot hole is, if Liv is alive, she would remember and then tell on MJF. Or she would have been threatened by him. That's another thing entirely. Or he could have gaslighted her. They could explain it away by amnesia. But you know what, as long as MJF didn't kill someone in storyline, in the past, he did explain it away that she was alive, I think this is fair game. And MJF's delivery was just so intense, so passionate, and so unremorseful that he carries this whole thing. Even if it's ridden by plot holes, even if it's pretty silly at points, this is the sort of Game of Thrones, Better Call Saul, fucking Blackbird thing that I think would draw fans. What mature content that I think they should show more on screen. Not to that level. Something that wouldn't get you banned on TV. But something outrageous and just uncomfortable to think about. That would be nice for TV. And it's been a long time since we've had that. But yeah, that would be better than a segment later in the night involving the former WWE girls and Leva Bates. I'm gonna get to that later. So after this is the Samoa Joe promo. So this guy better not lose to Wardlow. This is segment of the night next to the MJF one. Just the way he praises Darby adds so much depth. He knows what words to use. Very poetic promo. I might not like how you conduct yourself in the ring, but I will say this, you are a worthy and great adversary, is what Joe says about Darby. I think he's as good as MJF. Joe's also more legit, but he's probably gonna lose to Wardlow, and we're gonna have a meh reign again. The TNT title should stay on Joe. Like I say every week, just move Wardlow up. Have it be a non-contest, or have MJF instigate. Anything. Just don't take the belt off of Joe. Because he's the moneymaker here. Man can go in the ring, he can go on the mic, and the more he's on TV, the better. And one way to get on TV all the time is to have that belt. And honestly, I didn't even notice Wardlow was gone when Joe or Darby were champions. So yeah, keep the belt on Joe. So after this is Jamie Hayter versus the Bunny in an AEW Women's Championship Eliminator. So after watching Stardom, or at least half of the Supreme Battle show that I'm gonna review, stay tuned for that, I've realized that Jamie Hayter is one of those girls. She might have done better than Toni Storm. She's so much better. She fits so much with that Stardom roster and how good they move. Especially Tam Nakano, Mayu Iwatani, Julia Utami, Shuri, whoever. Those girls move as well as the dudes do. And so does Jamie Hayter. And it's not even close. Maybe the other one is like Shida and that's it. She even hits harder than a lot of the girls there, and that's saying a lot. And yeah, in her title defenses, I say she was elevated by the Joshis she was facing. Hikaru Shida, Emi Sakura. We've seen Jamie at her best when paired with those two, but she might be on that level where she can carry someone to a good match. Great even. And that almost happened with the bunny. Since the bunny looked better than usual. No slowness, no botches, a nice suplex to the outside. That might have been unintentionally dangerous, since Jamie hits her leg on the steps. That didn't look like it was on purpose. She got a fair bit of offense off. We also have Penelope Ford feuding with Britt, expecting a match there. And just when the match looks like it's gonna reach another gear, after being hit and successfully selling a T-bone suplex, Jamie goes for a T-bone suplex, Ali doesn't jump correctly, and Jamie sort of lands on her face. Bunny's seen clutching her eye after the match, or orbit, or whatever is in that area that she might have been feeling, and it looks like something's wrong, she might be injured. Jamie notices this, and then she delivers the softest, the most least audible ripcord lariat ever, and then safely lays Bunny on the mat, pins her, Jamie wins. So yeah, this could have been good. This was in that direction. Unfortunate that the bunny gets injured. I enjoyed everything before the accident, but this is, I might give it a TV main event. You can't go around botching and injuring yourself. So after this is the Tony and Saraya segment. So they trash the AEW women and assault Leva Bates. Poor Leva Bates, who's helpless backstage. Leva's delivery of her lines almost sounds like a porno, like the step bro thing. It's one of the Facebook comments I've seen on the AEW page that I actually liked. Yeah, it did sound like that. This was unintentionally funny when we were supposed to care about Leva Bates. But yeah, she's kind of too far gone. This ended up being really funny. But social media response for Leva was pretty good, so I guess they got the heel heat that they wanted. It's just for some cultured people who laugh at this sort of thing. But yeah, for me, this whole thing with Tony and Saraya, their end game, I don't think this is enough for their end game. Like, just drawing L's on people is kind of corny. I really liked Survivor Series before when this team with Shelton Benjamin won. I think it was like Shelton Benjamin, Chris Benoit, Randy Orton, and Edge. I forgot, but that team won, and then they became general managers for one show, like each of them. And that would be a cool gimmick, or something kind of like that, rather than just going for bragging rights. Like, have them actually threaten the women's division. Like, have them dictate stuff. Like, impose their philosophy on a group of people. Like a cult. No, just kidding. But it should be something more substantial than just painting on people. Yeah, this isn't the end game for me. Like, this should not be the end game. So speaking of something that shouldn't be the end game, next is Ricky Starks versus JAS in a gauntlet match. So this is faster paced than I expected. I've watched the first Stardom match, which is a gauntlet match, and I like how they do it there, since draws could eliminate both people, but this one in AEW is for a feud, so you can't really do that. But I would have liked it more if this was given time, or if I actually cared about the feud, because this was pretty meh. This had some good moments with Garcia and Starks, but like, all in all, what did you achieve? And he just squashed Cool Hand Ange and Daddy Magic. Like, so much for that drama. Like, why not have him struggle? Have one of them get DQ'd, sacrifice their turn by, like, attacking Starks with a chair. Like, why the fuck not? That would have been better booking than what we had here. Since Ange goes down in a minute, Magic goes down, like, right away. In seconds, he gets pinned and then it's over. And then against Danny, it's just a regular match. This was so short for what they were trying to accomplish that I thought, wow, this sucks. Wow, this feud is terrible. And I'm gonna get to the motivation of the feud later. I've said this every week. But yeah, if you wanted to do something like this, like have it be longer. Have Stark struggle. Have him go through a handicap match against 2.0 and then against Garcia and Guevara. Make people care about him. Because by the end of this, with that finish, that just like put an exclamation point of like how bad this is. So yeah, like I said, 2.0 go down right away. And then I like the part, like this is my favorite part of the match. I like the part when Guevara and Garcia like play mind games because you don't know who's the one who's gonna take the third spot. For me, I wanted them to like go handicap, but Daniel instead blindsides Starks, which is a good start. And then they have a regular match, the pattern that we all expect. It should have been a show stealer, just like with Stardom. Like every mini match is a show stealer. And only in the last 3 minutes, they throw bombs. They go for some cool stuff, like the top 3 spots of the match. Number 3 is the superplex that's countered to a brainbuster. No cell counter into a brainbuster. Number 2 is the spear to a guillotine. And then number 1 is the spear on the apron. So last 3 minutes pretty much saved the match for me since they did enough to like make Daniel Garcia look good, have him take the loss. But then Jericho cheats. Jericho in like a fan costume hits him with a Judas effect from the other side of the guardrail. So Starks doesn't have a match against Jericho, which I don't know why Starks would give a shit since he already won. Yeah, like I think Jericho is the one who should be hunting Starks. Like, it should be the other way around with how things played out. Since Starks already won. I think I should release this as a short. Because, goddamn, like, what's the point of the feud? And why have Jericho lose against Andretti? I could accept him and Starks teaming up, but having Starks chase a pointless feud, yeah, this was bad. The feud, I think, is dead. Just end it here. This was the worst piece of booking in the entire show, and I think in the entire company. TV main event, post-match was a pretty entertaining unmasking, but yeah, this feud is just like done. Just like end it. Like their match at the pay-per-view is gonna be so cold, no one's gonna give a shit. Just go for the All-Atlantic Championship or something. Anything. So after this is the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass promo where Daddy Ass promises to stay away from the match. He won't be at ringside. It's going to be a fair encounter. But just like this storytelling here from Bowens. Bowens is too attached to Daddy Ass. He's had all the success that he's not comfortable without him at ringside. So he has this look, fakes being okay with it, and then we get the conditions for the match. But I think everyone knows that he's going to interfere. But just not the way you'd expect. Everyone expects him to turn heel, but later on, I think they do something better. I think the main event is underrated. It's overly hated because of just like the vitriol and the bias that people have. So after this, is supposed to be a Danielson promo, but it ends up being the setup for his match against Rush. Since before he's allowed to talk, Jose and Preston Vance barricade his door while Rush is making his entrance. This is a very entertaining thing to do. It's something the WWE would do, but it's so funny it works. MJF paid Rush $600,000 for a reason. He makes his entrance, and then he tries for a technicality with Aubrey Edwards. This guy did his research. He tells her to count to 10, hoping for a no contest. But then right on time, Takeshita and Danielson break out. Danielson runs to the ring and gets stopped by Rush. Match begins. I love this gimmick start. This was done very well. It happens like right before the match. Like we don't see this happen in AEW ever. And it's one thing from the WWE that I really like. But I think it would have been cooler since MJF did pay $600,000. I think LFI should have tried harder. Like earlier, when Danielson went out to help Konosuke. Danielson's bodyguard's down. You have him outnumbered. Rush, Vance, and Jose just attack him. Like intercept him on the way to Konosuke. The match itself, though, was very sick. It follows the pattern of the underdog. First 6 minutes is slow heel work by Roosh that I think he does repetitively. I think he isn't that motivated. He sort of leans on this all the time. In every match. This whole part here is the setup. Danielson's cut open. He starts to come back. The match speeds up, but then he's belly to bellied off of the apron. MJF on commentary overpowers everyone, but he puts Roosh over so hard. And I like how he's emphasized as being the harder hitter since he just shakes off Danielson's chops, while Danielson oversells Roosh's. I don't think Danielson actually ever had proper control. He was always punching up. And how he wins is not really because of how superior he is. He just got lucky. He found the smallest of openings in Roosh's way of doing things. Dude's a bit cocky, so he turns his back at Danielson, who's clearly not sufficiently hurt enough to turn your back on him. And then he gets nailed by a second Busaiku knee for the win. Danielson wins. And the spots of this match, holy shit. Number 3 is the Danielson outside dive. Number 2 is the strike battle that is so hard hitting and culminates with Roosh's headbutts, rapid headbutts. And then number 1 is the apron belly to belly to the outside. That starts the whole bomb phase. This match is pay-per-view main event level. It's that fucking good. I thought it was overhyped when I first watched it. But upon second watch, my god, that was a battle. So, post-match is MJF. He puts Danielson's left arm in a Fujiwara armbar and then pretty much takes him out. Aggravates the injury closer to the show, so this is going to play a factor into that. This feud was very well built. This gauntlet that Danielson went through was the right move to do, even if it's criticized for being repetitive of how MJF does things. Who better to put in a gauntlet who can elicit great matches out of everyone except for maybe Timothy Thatcher than Bryan Danielson? This was the right move. If it's someone like Mox or something, or Punk or Wardlow, who aren't at Danielson's level, I can see why you would hate something like this. But if it's Danielson, I say this was a glorious success. They made us care enough about the feud, better than I think any pay-per-view last year. When the Dark Ages started. The build for this is not as good as Kenny versus Hangman or Punk versus MJF. But it's up there. It's at number 3 and they don't even cut seething promos against each other. But you have a month to do it. Or is it 2 weeks? I forgot. Yeah, about that time. 2 to 3 weeks in order to build up the remains of this feud. Get on it and don't drop the ball, like you did with JAS. So after this is the Elite versus Top Flight. I think this match is a step down from their matches against Death Triangle and the Dark Order. It's also not the fastest considering who's in the match. I think Top Flight themselves, the brothers, don't do enough. I think some more tag team moves would have been nice. Stars of the show were Kenny Omega and AR Fox. Fox just brings it here. So the match follows the usual American match structure that I always say. Evenly matched start, heels cut the ring in half. If in singles, they slow it down. And is a bit more even, a bit more close. That leads to the finish. And I've said this about a lot of matches, especially in American shows. Even your favorites from other promotions, but just with a lot of taunting. And especially in the old days. It's what they do in that structure that sets it apart from other matches in that structure. But they can only truly break out of that structure if the match is not televised. If it's on a pay-per-view, just look at the Elite's match against Dark Order. Or in New Japan, the main event singles matches there. Or when the Bucks faced off against Roppongi Vice. Or in Noah, where instead of an even start, it's just slow and then getting faster. In New Japan, it's slow, and then it gets fast, and then they go hard. Like, it's really physically straining to watch. In this match, it's the usual American TV structure, but of course, the Elite always high effort. They don't do like the full breadth of their tag team maneuvers. Like, we don't see what we saw against Death Triangle against a higher card team, but god damn it, it's enough. As for Top Flight, now that's a team that went under the radar. They don't do much here. Like, Darius was just the whipping boy. Dante did some cool stuff, but nothing in the vein of their tag team match against the Bucks. Like, they weren't the focus here. It was AR Fox and Kenny. And speaking of AR Fox and Kenny, the initial tag in of Fox was terrible. Like, we get a bit of like lag brain fart moment. Kenny sort of delays, but then when they get the move off, Fox delivers one of the best spots of the match, which is the Rolling Thunder. But back to the brothers. They're outside and they only do the supported DDT and the nosedive, which is their finisher, followed by a 450 splash from Fox, which leads to near fall. And this could have been it. Like, this near fall popped me so hard. We also get one from the Elite where they do like a trios indie taker, near fall again, and then we get to the climax of the match, which is Kenny and Fox 1v1. We get a sick Doctor Bomb that looks like it's a struggle to perform, and it's an underrated move, like a struggle power bomb. Looks a lot harder when he lands it. The finish is a roll-up flash pin. Kenny gets the win. The Elite retain. Pay-per-view undercard match. Match quality was all there, but I don't think Top Flight was featured as much as I would want. AR Fox was featured disproportionately more than Top Flight. So yeah, feud done. We don't get a House of Black attack, but honestly, I don't want House of Black to get it, since the trios belts are like below them. I think the lower card teams should run with the belts. And honestly, after that Escalera de la Muerte, after the whole Best of 7 series, plus this, I don't think there's much to do anymore with the belts. Like, they've played it out. That was the peak. I don't think they can top that anymore without facing off against Death Triangle again. Those are their natural opponents. But that's pretty much done now. Kenny should be in the singles division, if not as champion. Since MJF's gonna hold that belt for a long time, have him do singles feuds. Have him play like this 2002 Shawn Michaels role. When he was an upper card guy, he was looked on to very highly, but he just didn't win the big matches. But he would win a feud here and there, and deliver high quality matches. The Bucks, on the other hand, just put them in the tag division. Have them wrestle anyone, win or lose. Or, you know what better is to have them play a part in the Acclaim's rise back to the top. Hell, even have them beat the Acclaimed. Like, on the road back to FTR. Like, you could literally have a non-title Guns versus Acclaimed match on the same, like, special Dynamite or pay-per-view, and then you can have FTR versus the Elite. I mean, the Young Bucks. For the titles. Or maybe a 3-way tag team match would be fun. You can't have your 1A, 1B, 1 not being on TV, and then B not being in the tag division. So yeah, after this is the Hook video package that was a lot of nothing. And then we had Stokely Hathaway cut a promo. This is about the best thing about this. He's blaming Hook for everything, for all of his problems. Hook comes in, scares him, and yeah, that's basically it. I like Stokely's promo, like, as it is, but nothing is progressed here. Like, Stokely's promo is pretty funny. I like when he compares Ethan Page to Lil Kim, but that's the only entertaining part about this. This doesn't progress Hook's story overall. It doesn't look like they'll be feuding anytime soon. So why even have this? There's so much fat to trim in this AEW booking. Like, you can't just play TW 2020 and just, like, put an empty segment. That's what this one pretty much was. Just an empty segment. But you know what's not an empty segment? It is the main event between the Acclaimed and the Gun Club. This is maybe up there with MJF's promo, but upon reevaluation, I think most people were okay with this promo. I think more people were irrationally hating on this match. Because yes, it was pretty basic. Just a lot of heel work, not very exciting, pretty slow, but it does tell a pretty good story. It subverts our expectations at the end, where we all thought that Daddy Ass was gonna turn, but he doesn't. This was perfect right here. This is the sort of thing that is missing with JAS and Ricky Starks. This is what's missing with Jungle Hook. So yeah, I'll get to that later. So to start things off, let's talk about the rap. So finally, after that dumpster fire last time, Max finally raps about the border wall, about the China spy balloon, and then something in Spanish that I don't understand. And yeah, the Spanish words still rhyme with the English words, which takes a lot of skill. So like I said, this match is a storyteller. It's unlike any of the matches previous, where it solely depends on the story for enjoyment. It's not like a rest hold fest like you would expect from the Ass Boys. It's like still decently paced. I like that they don't take naps on the floor. Something's always happening, but the some things that are happening are like pretty basic. A lot of taunting, a lot of heel work. It's a lot more evenly matched, unlike the Ass Boys match against FTR, which was just like minimal Ass Boys offense. They got lucky there. This is a better match than that one. And some very good keep away. I appreciate some keep away in my tag team matches. It was traditional, very basic for the first 7 minutes. And then the speed just slightly builds up. Like just slightly. The match slightly breaks down, and for the last 5 minutes, it's all storytelling. So Austin Gunn knocks out the referee. He prepares to hit Anthony Bowens with the title, but Daddy Ass comes in. And it looks like he's gonna set him up. Like we're all expecting a heel turn. I'm expecting him to turn because it's a sort of apology to his kids after neglecting them. So he holds him up, and as Austin goes for the title shot, throws Bowens to the floor, catches the belt. I don't know why people aren't creaming their pants. This is like primo storytelling here. I thought this is what you wanted. But then you complain about the Guns winning, when it makes so much sense. They are the eternal rivals. They rose together, the Acclaimed more than the Ass Boys, and they're going to elevate each other till the end. The Acclaimed will always be haunted by the Ass Boys, vice versa. Billy Gunn subverts our expectations, and then since there are 2 belts, Colton hits him with the other one. That whole basic ass match was basically building up to this. Like the only other spot of the match is like a pull off the apron spot that Colton does, where Max crashes and burns. And then number 1 is this spot right here. Billy Gunn staying loyal to his team. He's not going to betray his new kids, just like he did his real kids. The finish was well executed. It's like a swing back and forth. Bones goes for the pin, he's pulled out, he goes back, kicked back to the ropes, title shot to the head, roll up by Austin Gunn for the win. Ass Boys are AEW Tag Team Champions for the first time. They shocked the fucking world, they beat the Acclaimed. So yeah, as a match, it could have been more fun. You could have storytelling plus great moves in the same match, as well as action and drama. I don't think this had the drama until the Billy Gunn interference. So I'm gonna give this like TV main event, pay-per-view undercard. Like it could be higher if it was just more fun. And you could have had your dramatic moment right there at the end. Like this match could have been so much better. But the subversion of expectations, Billy Gunn saving his new kids, and then the Ass Boys finally beating the Acclaimed after losing over and over and over again, are tag team champions. It doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you're tag team champions. I like the mentality there by the Ass Boys. But this is clearly a setup for FTR to return. You can't have face versus face at a pay-per-view, apparently, unless you're Hangman Page and Jon Moxley. Instead, you have the team that basically put FTR on the shelf, that week after week they made fun of. There's a story there built already, and it needs a payoff with FTR beating them. Like, I think the Acclaimed should go back to the bottom of the tag division. I don't think they should have a rematch. They should build themselves up again, face the Young Bucks at the next pay-per-view cycle, like after Revolution, and then they're gonna have their match against FTR in the pay-per-view cycle after that, with a great build, hopefully. Transitional champs are still champs. So yeah, that's it for the show. The only truly one stinker is the gauntlet match that lasted for 9 minutes. Jamie versus the Bunny was alright. It was just cut off by injury. The main event was a great storyteller, and I think is underrated. Trios title and MJF versus Takeshita are up there, but Danielson versus Roosh is Match of the Year candidate. And here we go again, another week, another Match of the Year candidate. Great show for AEW, sad that it doesn't show in the ratings. These American fans, man, a bunch of cunts. So like, comment, and subscribe for engagement. Share if you don't know me. Hit that bell notification for future videos, and please, watch my shit.